Hey everybody, this is Herschel Fromm from High School Top 200. This Rongotai College review for 2016 is brought to you by Fineline Barbers. Fineline Barbers has connected with a major barbering supplier here in New Zealand, and they are bringing to you the Aotearoa Barber Competition. This Aotearoa Barber Competition is going to be held in September 2017. Have a look for the Facebook page and the Instagram page that are going to be created by Fineline Barbers so that they can get barbers from all around the country to upload their work onto these platforms so that we as a public can see what work they do and the talent that we have around the country. You can also get your hair cut on the day in September next year of the competition by these barbers that you like and that may not be within your area or range that you'll be able to travel. So have a look out for that. It's in September 2017, the Aotearoa Barber Competition, brought to you by Fineline Barbers and other majoring barber suppliers as well. It's going to bring all the barbers together, and then they're going to have a good network for the barbering industry and for guys to work together and just grow the industry as a lot bigger and stronger, and hopefully we get a lot of good talented barbers out there. You don't have to have a certificate, so that's the best thing about it. Everyone's invited. Okay, September 2017 Aotearoa Barber Competition. It's interesting when you think about Rongotai and the school that they are, and like obviously we got Matanoni coming out of there, and also the Severe brothers, and the program has actually gone down from then. They struggled a lot, and it wasn't talent. It was never really talent. Maybe the structure of rugby was a bit different. Maybe the boys probably didn't respond the same way, and then weren't allowed to play on Saturdays, and not doing good in class and schoolwork and stuff like that. But actually, for the last couple of years, they've actually found that balance, and then got the boys to that stage where they can perform on Saturdays. They can also do their work in the classrooms, get the education and things like that, which it should be. That's how it should be. And so Rongotai has actually bit the bullet real hard on the last couple of years and said, all right, we'll take these losses now, and we're just trying to build this program back up, and they're getting it to where they're supposed to be, and they're actually done that. I wasn't actually surprised at the success that they had this year, and in all honesty, it was a success, especially if you look back from where they came from. This year was really good. The coaching staff had a major role in that and bringing these boys to that position. And for me, I always think that like talented boys is one thing, but then talented boys who are willing to listen and learn actually creates a better atmosphere and team, and then you get a better product at the end of the day. And that's what Rongotai has done as of this year, and that's the way that I've seen them anyway. They went through a lot of good winning within the first games, because they had to qualify. So they went through a lot of teams that were obviously beatable. But the best thing about that, I think, was them being able to find out that they had their strengths and they had their weaknesses, and they knew how to fix them, which was good. They went through Kapiti and Paraparaumu and Aotea and St Bernard's, and putting up some pretty big pretty big numbers, 60, 40s, 50s, things like that. Wairarapa College, I think, was their first real test, and even Wairarapa College was really good this year too, and so they just beat them. Put the hurt on Bishop V out a bit, because like another team that was like finding themselves this year again. But then their real test came up against Wellington College a few weeks in, and it was a good game. Like I honestly thought that they lost 19-5, but I think I saw different improvements from the easier games, from guys stepping up to the bigger games. And I think that game against Wellington College was actually a really good first big test game to come up against. Wellington College was a very good team this year, and I think that they were the right test for them. They came back the next week after that, and then they beat Silverstream, which is a really good team coming up as well. So I think it kind of paid off in that way too. I liked Rongotai's forward pack. I think they had a lot of good talent in there with Tobias, Carl, and Monga in the front row. Well, for most of the year anyway, and for most of the situations that they had. Carl Brownlee is probably one of the sort of underrated players, hookers that were out there this year. I think he had a really high work rate, really strong, defensively really strong. Technique wise around the rucks, I thought was really good with him. So having guys like that on your team, I think are real important to have, and I think that he was pretty undervalued. I don't think they didn't have a lot of guys show up to the Hurricanes under 18s. They didn't have a lot of guys selected there. Obviously, Denny To'o was probably their big time player this year, but they have other good players there as well. Stephen Va'a and also Ruben Va'a was cool. Essie was really good. Norman Fatialofa was real good as well, who they had there. Matthew Samuels is another guy that I think is really good and that I will be looking for next year because I think he's going to be real good. DJ Taiupu was really good too. And these are guys that I really like coming back next year that I think will be guys to look out for. But these guys, they actually really stood up, especially for a team that was pretty much demolished just a few years before that. I thought that they did great bringing the program back to where I think that where they were supposed to be, kind of thing. I think because of Denny and the way that he does play and his physical nature about him, I think it freed up a lot of the other players, which is great. I think that's always a good plus that you have when you have that guy that attracts so much attention that he's a have-to tackle. You have to tackle him, that kind of thing. And that's what I really liked about this team, is that they had that kind of force that was on the team. What I didn't like actually was, and just watching the games, and if you look at a lot of their games where they were only losing within 10 points or so, actually 10 to 12 points, when they were in that range, and then you watch their games, there was a lot of stuff that they did that weren't big mistakes. They were so small mistakes, like just simple knock-ons, I think was really bad, or holding the ball a bit. For some reason, throwing dummies when they should have just passed it, and throwing dummies and trying to take it. Things like that, little niggly stuff. That was supposed to be your 5 to 7 points, and then it ended up turning around to them scoring 5 to 7 points, and that's how it kind of was the whole year. And so, like, Rongotai was always in this bracketing gap of we're in a position we can win this. Then all of a sudden, someone does something dumb. Someone throws a pass. Someone holds the ball. Someone tip tackles, and things like that. And then it kind of costs them the game. And it wasn't just even one player. Like, it would be like certain players at different times doing stuff like that kind of push them back even further. And that's not something that, like, every team just has. That's something that a team learns within the culture of things. And so, if, like, let's say that Rongotai keeps this kind of the kind of talent that they have, the kind of discipline that they have. They're getting their schoolwork up, and they're working all these things, and then that niggly stuff actually gets worked on as well after that, and they start getting away with this. Rongotai can be that program that you're going to have to, that you mark down on your calendar, like, shoot, we have to play these guys then, let's get prepared for that. Let's work our games towards that. Like, Rongotai can be that team. They have so much talent. They have a lot of talented boys that they can turn to and things like that, and they always represent a lot within the lower rep teams too, which is always a good plus and something that you want to see. Rongotai, I think it was a good year this year, and it was a good learning. I think if they did a lot of, if the boys did a lot of videotape and study and stuff like that, they would see their little mistakes and they would know exactly where they need to get better. They weren't hard things to pick out. It was just little mental failures and things like that, and it always happens. It just always happens. Rongotai had a great season. It was cool watching them, and it's cool to see that they're back up there where they used to be back in the days, and they're also getting the quality of players back, and getting their schoolwork done and discipline and things like that, which you should do anyway. And Rongotai is doing great with all that kind of stuff. Applaud the coaching staff, applaud the boys as well. They had a good season. That's my review. Peace.